This show is intended for informational purposes. You should consult your health care professional before starting any type of diet or workout program. Welcome to Under 10 Fitness with your host, Drew Smith. Real conversations with real people that really works. Reach your goals faster without the gimmicks. Get ready for a healthy dose of veggies and iron with Under 10 Fitness.
What's up, and welcome to Under 10 Fitness. This is the show where we break down health and fitness 10 minutes at a time. My name is Drew Smith. I'm a personal trainer, competitive powerlifter, and I have noticed that the health and fitness industry is so vast that it's hard to take in all at once. So we just break it down shortly and just in little bite-sized pieces here. On the phone, she is joining me. She's been on the show before. She is a bikini competitor in bodybuilding. Ms. Allison Murphy, welcome to the show.
Thank you. It's good to be back.
Now, last time we spoke, I don't know if we did talk about it on the show, but you had broken your ankle. Is everything healing up? Are you back in the gym?
Yes, I took a few months off. I broke my ankle, and it was kind of right around when I had started training for a competition, so it was a hard break all around. But yes, I'm finally back in the gym, and it feels amazing.
Now, with that, what's the recovery process? Are you allowed to do everything that you were doing before, or are you easing back in?
I'm definitely easing back in because I lost a lot of strength, and my ankle, even though it's healed and the swelling and the pain and the discomfort is gone, I'm just worried because it's so weak now. So I'm really, really careful about, times when I go into the gym and do legs or how much weight I'm lifting, just because I'm still a little weak and I'm building my strength back up. So I'm just really focusing on that right now and not doing anything too extreme that might hinder just the kind of end of my healing.
Now, how did that affect you mentally? So obviously you have this passion for getting on stage and competing with not only yourself but other people on really shaping your body. What did that make you feel like being out of the gym, and did you focus on some other things just to make this fitness thing a more well-rounded experience?
Yeah, so, it was so hard mentally because especially when you're training for a show, it kind of becomes your whole life. And there's a certain lifestyle that you're used to. And going to the gym, for me, it was something I looked forward to every day. It was kind of my place of peace. And, I really found myself, through working out and in the gym and sort of kind of have that pulled out from under you, especially so unexpectedly. It was really hard. I definitely got a little depressed after it happened because I just felt kind of lost. I didn't know what to do, and I couldn't really walk even. So it was hard. The biggest thing for me during that time out was to just start focusing on myself, because it was really easy to feel sorry for myself and to feel really down about myself. And also, there was obvious, weight gain that came with it, and nothing crazy, but, the few pounds here or there, I would just obsess over. And I'd be like, oh my God, if I could just go to the gym, or if I just could do cardio, I would just think about all these things. And that's what I would focus on, instead of just really being happy with who I am and focusing on other parts of my life that I really enjoyed. So even though it was something that was hard for me, it was kind of a blessing in disguise, because it was a time out that was really needed for me to kind of figure out what I wanted out of life and to focus on the other aspects and people in my life. Because it's also, when you're training for a bodybuilding competition, that you're going to maybe not see some people as much and go out as much and kind of be present in your own life in a different way. So it really allowed me to take a step backwards and to enjoy aspects of my life that maybe I was not as conscious, that I needed to. So as hard as it was, and as much as it kind of took me back, I'm appreciative of the fact that I was able to put things back into perspective and kind of focus on things that were important.
And you're probably looking for which competition you'll be competing in next, and you're going to get back on track, you're going to get back on stage. And along with that, obviously, you're going to have to work through your program, whatever workouts you're doing. And then the big part when it comes to these kind of competitions is the diet. So we're hoping you can give some tips on that whole cycle and that process. So the first thing is we want to know, well, let's talk about your experience, and then we'll get into these tips here. So what is your experience with bodybuilding and specifically bikini competitions?
So my experience is that when I first started, I kind of didn't know really what I was getting myself into. And training for it, it transforms your whole life. And it's something you really need to have the mindset for, and kind of preparing yourself and going into it with, a clear goal and everything in mind that you want. I have competed before, and it's something that, although it won't be, there are some people that make a life out of it and a, career out of it. I don't think that I see myself going down that road, but it's something I really love and a lifestyle I've grown to really enjoy. So yeah, just getting on stage again for me, and just kind of fine tuning where I went wrong in any other time I've competed. And just getting back to it for fun and enjoying it again.
And you are going to be the perfect person to get some tips from, because the listeners of this show are your everyday folks, the moms, the dads, the brothers, the sisters, the people that aren't doing this as a career and just want to maybe experience that as just something that they can say, well, I did that, and then, move on to the next thing. So when it comes to creating a diet, do you have any tips and some advice on what that means when it comes to competition prep?
Yeah, absolutely. One of the biggest things to really have in your head is that what the diet needs to look like will be different for every athlete. And, it's easy there's a really strong community, especially for people who do bodybuilding competitions. Forums online and just kind of the group in the gym that you meet, it's a really great community. And it's easy to talk to people and kind of hear what somebody else is doing and think, oh, okay, well, that's what I'll do. You really, 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 the most important thing you can do is understand that what works for somebody is not going to work for you. Everybody has different needs. So the first and most important thing you can do is prepare and evaluate your overall physique and what your physical needs are. There are questions you're going to have to answer and figure out for yourself. And it's things like how lean you are at the time, how long you're going to need to diet, how far out from your show you are, what parts of your body need the most attention, where the most, fat needs to be lost, or where the most muscle needs to be gained. So always keep in mind that, what that means for you is not what that means for someone else. And the goal of a competition diet is to lose body fat, but maintain as much muscle as possible. So you're really looking for that balance, and your focus should be on that. And it should be on eating the proper amount of lean proteins, healthy carbohydrates, healthy fats, incorporating that into your diet in a way that you'll stick to it and it will work for your body. The biggest thing I can say is just to really keep it simple and be smart with your meal choices, and make sure you're eating every 2.5 to 3 hours during the day, and just to stay super fine-tuned, and don't be discouraged if, your first show, your diet wasn't what it is your second show. You shouldn't, feel bad about that. It's all about playing with your diet and figuring out what works for you. And it really comes a lot of times, and for most people, I would say, through trial and error and figuring out what you need to do for you. So, tuning into your body, dialing into your needs, being really honest with yourself about where you need to improve and where you need to make changes, and kind of just sticking to it and going from there.
Now, what about tracking your calories?
Tracking your calories is super important. That's kind of part of when you're creating your diet. You'll know how much basically you're aiming to eat a day. You should definitely be figuring out how many grams of protein you're having, and how many carbohydrates you're having for the day, and at what meals you're going to, kind of strategically place them in. You want to be very aware of that, because it's easy to think, okay, well, because I had this meal and this meal, I should be good for the day. And you might be overeating or you might be undereating. And those are two things you don't want to take the risk of having a chance of doing, because you don't want to gain unhealthy weight, and you definitely don't want to deprive your body of the fat and the calories that it needs. So being super tuned into everything that you're putting in your body, there's so many apps now that you can get on your phone. MyFitnessPal is a great app, and that's actually what I used. And just kind of keeping track and always knowing what you're putting in your body, because there is just kind of no room for error, especially the closer you get to a show date. So tracking your calories, I would say, is definitely an important part of your diet.
And again, that app that Allison mentioned was MyFitnessPal, and it's actually owned by Under Armour. And it's really cool app. They've got workouts in there too, and it's just an easy, simple way to track your calories and your macronutrients as well. So those proteins, those carbs, and the fats that you talked about. Now, what about what to avoid? What should you try to stay away from, whether that's diet or certain lifestyle things when it's competition time?
Oh, wow. Well, there are probably a lot of things that you should avoid during your prep, but I'll give you about 4 or 5 things that I think are super important. One being doing excessive cardio. Cardio, I think, is important, and it's a great way to condition your body and obviously to lose body fat and burn calories, but it's something that should be strategically placed into your workout program and not overdone, because you can push yourself to the point where you're starting to break down your muscles. And what the goal of cardio was for your workout plan is, it goes beyond that. It's kind of working against you. So at all costs, during prep, you want to maintain and preserve your muscles. So you don't want to do anything that's going to hinder that. Not getting enough rest. It is so easy to stay up late and have a Netflix binge, or have a roommate that's staying up and, you get to talking and watching TV or, whatever, or, having friends that are going out and saying, oh, you know what, I'm just going to go out with them. But getting enough rest, you go through so much stress mentally and emotionally and physically, and you really need to allow your body to repair and recover from that. So getting a good night's sleep is so important, because you're going to be hitting the gym hard the next day and pushing yourself, and you just need every minute of rest that you can get. So just focusing on that and knowing that it really is important, and it does make a difference. Kind of what I said before, using that template or generic diet plan, just try to avoid stuff like that. Focus on you, and, don't focus on what somebody else is doing. Drinking was definitely something, it's a temptation, and it was hard to not go out with my friends sometimes, or, not have a drink, to order a water when everybody else is having a glass of wine. But it really, aside from the calories and the carbs that you're consuming, it also, is bad in general. For every drink you have, you're losing body fluids, and in those body fluids are vital minerals that, you're taking supplements to make sure to stay in your body. So, you don't want to sacrifice that for a drink. It's tempting, and maybe, if your body is kind of where it needs to be at the time, a glass of red wine here or there, once or twice during prep won't completely derail you, but, it's something that, you should avoid. And this I will say from experience, is my last tip, but, of not having a post-show plan. It's super hard to come off of competition prep, and the biggest thing you need to focus on is being ready to gradually add foods back into your diet and kind of do a reverse diet, and don't go overboard loading things back into your diet, because you can harm your body in many ways and get serious weight gain from that, because your body is not equipped. I think people often think, oh, my metabolism is running so fast that I can just kind of pile on whatever I want, but it doesn't necessarily work that way, and you could do a lot of harm to your body. So just knowing that because you're not on competition prep anymore, you're not immediately going to be going back to eating whatever you want and kind of having that lifestyle, and also understanding you're not going to look the same as you did on stage, because it's so hard to work towards that and sacrifice for that. And after you get off stage, your body kind of goes back to normal in a way. So you just need to be understanding and loving of your body after competition. How you look on stage is not how you are going to and probably should look every day of your life. So just knowing that there will be changes, but it's not, it's not going to be the end of the world.
Those are some great tips. So again, just to summarize those in a neat little package for you, it's avoid doing excessive cardio, not getting enough rest. You want to make sure you're getting plenty of rest. Avoiding what others do. You got to focus on your program and stay focused on what your goals are and who you are. No alcohol. Stay away from alcohol. A quick little thing about alcohol. Alcohol is empty calories. They have nothing good for you in there, and they're 7 calories per gram as compared to protein and carbs, which only have 4 calories per gram, and fat, of course, has the most with 9 calories. But Alcohol does absolutely nothing for you, so I agree with staying away from that. And then not having a post-show plan. That's the first time I've ever heard that one, because there is going to be an end after. And just real quickly, I don't want to get off too much off track here, but after your show, did you have like a little bit of, like, I wouldn't say depression, because that's a very serious illness, but did you have a little bit of like sadness that it's over and now what?
Yeah, absolutely. It's kind of the post-show blues, because you are so used, your life revolves around a schedule and everything being planned out and everything kind of down to the minute. You know, at 10:30 you're doing this, and at 1 o'clock you're doing this, and not having that, it's just kind of normal to feel a little lost. Because although, postseason, if you're looking to compete again, you want to keep a schedule and you kind of want to have a routine, but it's definitely not going to be anywhere near as when you're on competition prep. So yeah, I mean, that's the other thing, kind of just knowing that you'll have that period where you're like, what do I do with my free time now? Because you definitely will have more free time, but the biggest thing is to focus on enjoying the people you didn't get to see, and you don't have to miss going out that night or hanging out with your friends, or, having that glass of wine or whatever it was during competition. And don't go overboard, but being able to kind of have indulgences where you didn't is the best way, kind of, in my opinion, to fight those post-competition blues.
Now, we've covered a lot of the stuff leading up to and then just after the competition. What should we do to stay in shape during the off season? And sometimes an off season, like yourself, I mean, with the ankle injury, it could be a year or more.
Yeah. I mean, you never know what's going to happen in the off season. I mean, you could get an injury, or you could have a change of heart, and, a bikini competitor could think, you know what, I want to do figure, and kind of change it where your goals were. I mean, you don't really know what can happen in the off season. And if you're really considering doing another competition and you're an athlete, it's an important time for you to make improvements to your physique. So you want to have a goal. I mean, in your off season, you need to figure out like what your off season means for you, what you're looking to get out of it, figuring out if you're doing another show, when is it, and how long do you have to prep for it, and kind of where you need to be and when. You want to make sure that you're eating enough calories. Don't skip meals because you're off prep. Kind of keep to the same schedule, eat 5 or 6 meals throughout the day, and just make sure you're getting enough calories. Although your foods aren't going to be obviously as strict as they were, make sure you're eating clean, healthy foods, and focus on being smart in the kitchen. I would say incorporate cardio to keep, body fat away. But again, like I talked about earlier, don't overdo it, because you're not going to improve your muscle size that way. And kind of in your postseason, that's what you want to focus on. Bring the better package to stage than you brought the last time. And honestly, don't worry about the scale. It's really easy, because you're going to be gaining muscle and you're going to be gaining just natural weight. And I think that can make you go a little crazy, because you think, okay, this is the weight I was at, when I was training for my last competition or when I was on stage. You kind of want to avoid that if you can, and just give it all in your workouts and focus on, okay, when I was on stage, I wanted this part of my body to look better, and focus on workouts that are more productive for you, and just figure out a plan for you. And then whatever your goal is, you'll be better prepared for it. And along the way, you'll be able to make those changes and figure out, what worked last time, what didn't, and just get better from there.
Now, have you built more of a lifestyle around this and made some just changes that you're going to be able to sustain throughout the rest of your life? And that is just leaning towards a more healthy diet, like those lean proteins and those healthy carbs you talked about.
Absolutely. I mean, training for a competition, you realize, because you see it every day. I mean, there are days that I would wake up and my body would look different. So you kind of realize, like, wow, when I wasn't eating stuff like this, I was able to, for me, I mean, even doing cardio, I think about the beginning of training for my competition to the end of it. I mean, I would be out of breath within like the first couple minutes. And I would realize, things that I was eating, I don't want to go backwards and be eating stuff I shouldn't be all the time, or drinking as much, going out every weekend, or whatever it was for me at the time. So yeah, I mean, it's definitely a lifestyle change that I am happy to have, because you become really conscious of what foods affect you in what way. And when you realize things that affect your body negatively, you don't want to put them back into your body on a regular basis and kind of feel bad again. So I definitely learned a lot, and it's things, being healthier and eating leaner meats and sticking to stuff that really helps my body and helps my overall physical condition.
Well, Allison, those are some great tips. So thank you very much for sharing those. Those are all the tips that we're going to have here. But I would like to just spend a couple minutes asking you some questions about, where you live and kind of the lifestyle that you're surrounded by, and some challenges that you might be facing with there. So you're in North Carolina. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yes, I am in North Carolina.
And what is
I love it here.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was going to ask, what is the city like? So what city, or I guess we don't have to know exactly where you live, but what is it like around you? Because I live in Colorado Springs, and here there's the mountains right out our back door. There's plenty of access to do lots of things when it comes to staying physically in shape. There's a gym on every single corner, and there's some good trails for cycling. What is the lifestyle like in North Carolina where you live, and are there easy access to physical fitness? And what about healthy restaurants that are leaning towards more of that non-GMO and just healthy eating?
Yeah, so the city that I live in Raleigh, there are so many options for healthy eating. It's a pretty fit town. There's always stuff going on. I mean, it's constant. And the development, or the area of Raleigh that I live in, they have like Wellness Wednesdays. So every Wednesday they have like CrossFit or title boxing, or places all around us that will come, and it's an hour, and they have it right out in the park. And that's kind of all over the city. You can find stuff like that going on. So I think that being fit is definitely pretty important, and there are a lot of healthy restaurant options, and organic and non-GMO. And, I'm an hour from the beach, a few hours from the mountains, and there's a lot of hiking around me. So there is so much to do. And it's the same thing. Like, there's a gym, every couple miles. So there are so many options, and there's beautiful trails and parks. And I have a dog, so I take her around a lot and go on a lot of walks. So there are a load of options here. And that kind of lifestyle is pretty predominant.
And that's something to keep in mind. Like, cardio doesn't always have to be on a treadmill or an elliptical machine. You can get out, go to the beach, take the dog for a walk, and go hike, right?
Yeah, and the thing is now with I have an iPhone, and they have an app that actually counts your steps. So I can see, like, oh my God, today, just from walking Holly, it was like 2.8 miles. So yeah, you can get your cardio kind of however you want to.
And with that, you also get that mental release and that spiritual stimulation when you're out there. I mean, I imagine you could just go watch the beach and enjoy that and just decompress. And especially when you're competing, you need that, because you get hangry. Have you heard of that term?
I've experienced that term. Yes, it is a real thing.
And that is that's when you get hungry. Wait, describe it for me. I might screw it up.
It's when you're so hungry, it starts to affect your attitude. I will always say that to my boyfriend. I'm like, I need to eat something right now, or else I am not going to be a nice person to you.
No, yeah, it's absolutely true. I mean, I could probably attribute most of my arguments with my fiance. We're actually getting married in like 13 days here, so shout out Brittany Meyer. I love you.
God.
But yeah, thank you. Most of our arguments go back to either one of us being hungry. So yeah. Just if you're having relationship problems, just go have a snack, eat some chicken and some broccoli, and you'll feel better.
Absolutely.
Well, Allison, thank you very much. I'm going to put these tips together in a nice little easy-to-read package and put them up on under10fitness.com. If anybody wants to follow you for just some motivation, are you on Instagram or Facebook or Twitter?
Yes, I am on Instagram. That is the best way to find me. My Instagram handle is Allison_Murph, ALLISON_MURPH.
Well, Well, thank you very much for all of those great tips. Again, you can follow her on Instagram. That is Allison, ALLISON_Murph, MURPH. This is Under 10 Fitness. I'm Drew Smith for Allison Murphy. Stay motivated.